I want to hear how you are all feeling today. Okay. You kind of heard how I was feeling a little bit. I was a little flustered, a little anxious. But if you know about this discrete emotion theory, there's 12 really basic emotions that most of us are feeling every moment of the day. So, as an example, a very common question humans do are, how are you doing today? And a very common answer is, I feel pretty good. I'm doing good, right? But are you really doing good? Or are you filled with interest, joy, surprise, sadness, anger, disgust, contempt, self hostility, fear, shame, shyness, guilt? Okay. So next time someone asks you, how are you doing? Really just tell them how you're doing. Don't say good, because when we say good, it's just like, man, we're just doing that so we don't have to engage and connect with people. Okay. But to get to a deeper level of that authentic connection between human beings and on that genuine level, just say how you really feel, whether it's if it's the barista, the bank teller, the server, maybe the bartender. If you drink, I don't drink. Bartender served me food, though. I still sit at the bar and order Pellegrinos with lime and crushed mint. But drop in the chat and just really drop in with yourself, and don't be shy, because I felt a little anger today. No, yesterday I felt anger, but today I was a little anxious coming onto this call just because of the tech. But I'm here now, and I wasn't going to let it take me out. Um, I'm also feeling a little bit joy today because after this, I'm driving into the foothills of the Sierra to go to a co-ed baby shower for one of my dear friends. And that's going to be fun. And feeling a little sad too. My dad's going through some health stuff, right? It's no fun watching our elders get older. And then one more, interest. I'm very interested in all of you. So drop in the chat. I want to hear how you like, just don't be shy. And if you're shy, just say you're shy. And you're probably wondering, like, what's this have to do with microdosing? Like, why? Well, the good news in the bad news about microdosing is the good news is all your thoughts, feelings, and emotions and perceptions come back pretty vividly, pretty activated, amplified. The bad news is all your thoughts, emotions, feelings, and perceptions come back very amplified and very activated. It's up to you to sift through them, because microdosing doesn't have to work. You have to work. So it's up to you to sift through and navigate these feelings, the thoughts, the perceptions, the way you see the world, right? The perspective shifts that you're gaining. So a little anxious, amazing, grateful, exhausted, moving rocks to make a walking spiral. Love that. I love moving rocks. Been building a rock pathway behind my house, Michelle, all summer. That I always say I harvested all these sacred rocks from the forests of Tahoe. Accomplished. That's always a good one. A little dopamine there for Jose when we feel accomplished. Frustrated that someone just hit my car, but grateful. There we go. There's the duality of life. Frustrated but grateful. Brain is racing and my emotions are all over the place. Way to just be super honest there. Is it Tracy? Moving my mom into a new home this month. Stressful, on the road, doing too many things, but really glad to be here. Thank you, and glad Brian was able to get in because I needed some Brian today. Yay. So I'm super happy. Anxiety due to workload. Okay. Anxiety, right? Isn't that something that we all deal with? So there are some presentations here, and I have some previous presentations that I do, and that's on the school community. that's free to join. It's usually we give access to our online community when you become a customer, but for these webinars, for people that show up, Elena is going to drop that in. And uh, we have nothing to sell you, right? But we have things for sale. I'm not going to sell you on anything like webinars do. We're just going to have a discussion. So fear around some decisions I have to make. Okay, so anxiety, there's three big buckets of anxiety, Kimbra. And the three big buckets that contribute to anxiety is lack of reliable, sound information, a lack of community, emotional support from others, right? This is all very individual life experience, but very interconnected in community. So that's why we do these conversations. And the third one is uncertainty, right? Fear of the unknown. Okay, that contributes to a lot of anxiety because we're always somewhere, right? As human beings, we're always somewhere um, right between right here and now, right? If you can see my hands, right here and now, and somewhere where we want to be. We're never right here. We're never fully 100% right here and now. And we can't be where we want to be, okay? Because that's in the future and that's an illusion. So we're always kind of just somewhere in the middle, which is where we create all that anxiety. That's where that uncertainty is. Okay, so if we can realize that if we're just somewhere in the middle, right, this gap, we need to build a bridge. We can't teleport there. We need to build the bridge one little step at a time, one moment at a time, and then be grateful to be in the present right now. And Alan Watts, actually, and one of my muses, he has a great theory on anxiety is nothing more. Anxiety is, yes, future tripping, but it's also a very, very, very in the now, present state of being, right? It's an action that we do in the present moment, but our body isn't in our body isn't in the present moment because our mind is out there. It's still very present. So it's kind of a paradoxical way to think about anxiety. So uncertainty there. Yep, health stuff. Those are all like the subcategories of anxiety. Joy and anxiety with the dose of failure. Use that failure to boomerang you into new realms, right? Failure is just a way to learn. Gosh darn it. If we didn't fail, we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't have the wisdom. So tired from lack of sleep and anxiety. That's that vicious cycle, John. I think of being, if I don't sleep, I'm useless to myself. If I'm useless to myself, I'm useless to the people around me, and I'm not serving the world the best I can. So hopefully you can get some sleep. If you want to chat about sleeping anxiety, we also make a very great sleep product. I got second place at the Emerald Cup in 2019. Boom, boom. So thank you all for joining in with your feelings and being very honest. Okay, doesn't that feel a little bit better? Like, holy damn, I'm human just like all those other people. Okay, and I bet you wouldn't trade your problems for anyone else's problems. Okay, let's start off with this presentation. Ground in a little bit. And this is a very basic presentation on microdosing. So I'm calling it Uncharted Pathways, understanding microdosing and its synergy with holistic wellness and modern mental health. And I really wanted to put together 10 common questions that I see come through our customer support, our email, phone calls I have, and they're usually same, but different. It's a different in asking pretty much the same question. And I thought, okay, so how can I turn these questions into useful information for folks, whether you are thinking about starting a microdosing journey, you're on one right now, you work with others that are on microdosing journeys, or you just want to be equipped with information so you can talk to your homies about it. So I'm kind of distilled down a lot of questions, and wanted to present this to you all. You're going to get my show notes. You'll get this document. You can keep, you can share, you can do whatever you want with it. It's my gift to you. And these blue links here, these are linked. There's an article on that exercise we just did. This is our microdosing starter kit. Again, I have nothing to sell you, but we have things for sale. Okay. And you can get that in 30, 60, 90 days supplies. We're not going to wait to the end of the presentation to be, okay, that was cool. Now here are the things that we sell. And if you want, we have an affiliate program, easy to sign up. And then here, when you're ready, you can even share this with friends, family. This is a discount code right there, 10-4. What's your 20? That was my funny joke I had with someone earlier today. What's the date for? And I said, what's your 20? Get it? 10-4 webinar for 15% off. When you're ready to purchase, you can save it for a rainy day. It will be useful for one purchase. And then instead of listening to a bunch of testimonials and going through a bunch of those, that's our YouTube channel. And there's a lot of short form testimonials. If you're like, dude, the guy with the vegetable shirt on here that was late to the webinar talking about feelings, I don't really believe anything he says. There's plenty of testimonials on our YouTube channel, long form interviews, like just some amazing success stories. So who is this for? All of you, obviously, you're here. And if you've really just kind of like piqued your interest, raised an eyebrow at the cutting edge world of like mental tune-ups, as I call them, and thought like, hey, what's the deal with this microdosing business? You're in the right spot. You're here. So thanks for joining. And whether you're in the trenches as a mental health guru, I'll also say mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical health, because that is all connected, right? It's a very holistic framework that we look through the lens of using psychedelics as well as personal development, right? You can't have one without the other. That's a very Western medical approach if we just compartmentalize everything. So that mind, body, soul unification, or you're just on the hunt for a new way to chill and find some creativity, productivity, things like that. So that's all great too. But really, the way I like to teach and frame all of this is we're all creative, we're all intuitive beings, we all can access clarity, focus, and flow. It's why aren't we accessing clarity, focus, flow, creativity? There's always something underneath that those maladaptive behaviors that are driving the gearboxes, right? They're turning the gearboxes within us that is like, oh, I'm not creative, I'm not focused, I'm not in flow, right? I feel crappy, I have anxiety. It's like, what is that? Let's figure out what that is. So if you're just plain curious about the latest beats in the scene, I'm going to lay down some tracks today that you don't want to miss. And this is also just as important, okay, who this is not for. Okay, so if you're seeking a quick fix, magic fix, this is not a panacea. And that's okay. There's no judgment here. This is all love. There's no judgment if you do. That is just a unfortunate conditioning of our society that we think we can take a pill to get from this to that. Remember, somewhere in between the here and now and where we want to be. We think we can take a pill to get to where we want to be, but you got to put in some work. Okay, you have to really put the mirror back on yourself. And you want rewards with no effort. You dislike small impact changes. You hope your problems vanish and you're actionless. Okay, I have this statement that I have with friends over the years. It's more of just a personal boundary for myself. It's like, yo, man, like I got so much love for you, and it's really just kind of capped out right here. That does not mean I don't love you. It's just capped out right here, and I can't go really any further with that, because you're sitting there, you're smoking weed all day and you're playing Xbox for 7 hours a day and Fortnite, and you're not really doing much with your life, but you're sitting there complaining and ruminating and all those things, and you're just sucking energy from the people around you. So if you're saying action list, of course it's not going to work. Remember, microdosing doesn't have to work. You have to work. And you avoid effort and expect results. Okay. Faith without action is dead. Okay. Ignores issues and awaits magic. Okay. Don't ignore the issues. Okay. As long as you are a human being, touch yourself, everyone. Put like tap your forehead and maybe your third eye and your head and your cheeks, and just remember you're a human being. Okay. As long as we are human beings on this earth dealing with other people, places, and things, we're always going to be triggered. We're always going to have issues and obstacles to get through. Is what you do with your present circumstances is what gets you to that magic. It's not ignoring it. So who am I? I was writing this. Okay. And I did microdose today. So I'm feeling a little funny, and who knows what movie is that from? Just, someone does, right? Who right? Put in the chat where that's from. The Who Am I? That's not me. That's Ben Stiller. It's actually Zoolander. But you remember that scene? Who am I? How many people have just like stared and blankly into a mud puddle or mirror, or just said this out loud a lot? Who am I? Okay. Who am I? Not because I like to say I'm Brian Chaplin. I started Medicine Box for a decade of being sober. We use plants and microdosing to help folks like yourself really just find themselves and create more self-awareness. I always say self-awareness achieves. And I'm all about individual growth, but I think community is key. And when I'm not pushing my brand, I'm out here in North Lake Tahoe, hiking, skiing, meditating, doing all the fun stuff, but really also asking myself, who am I? Who am I really? Right? Like being a CEO, being a startup founder, being a skier, a hiker, a meditator, a homeowner, a white man, right? Like all these things are just identities constructs. These are just labels and categories to say, okay, that dude there lives in Tahoe, he skis, he microdoses, right? It's a way we categorize other humans, but really, who are we underneath all of that? Okay, let's get to the core of that stuff, and that is really the concept of microdosing. Okay, the creativity, the focus, the flow, the productivity, all that stuff, those are all byproducts, right? That's just the added bonus that we get from microdosing. And we're getting into the questions here. So pause here for a moment and think about who you are, right? Not what you do. Your work is not who you are. Okay. Being a mom, being a dad is not who you are. It's something you do. Being a husband, being a wife is not who you are. It's something you do. It brings value to your life. But underneath all of that, who you are at the core, that's what we try to get to here. And that is the lifelong journey of being a human being. And add psychedelics, meditation, prayer, community. It gives us a great platform to be able to get underneath that stuff, right? There's always at the surface, yay. Underneath, there's always something else. Is it compassion? Is it courage? Is it empathy? Right? I am, right? I am a compassionate, intuitive, generating wisdom human, something like that. I challenge you to think about those things and make that your wisdom statement or your power statement. Okay. And then I always say, for me, always remember, whether on the mountain or off the mountain, be a badass. And that's something that I say when I'm skiing, is like, I am a badass skier. I will say it out loud right now. I'm a really, really, really good skier. I've skied thousands of days. But that doesn't make me who I am. Okay. So how do I take that energy off the mountain and be a badass in my just everyday life? And what does a badass mean? It's like being kind and compassionate and connected, and um, not only to others, but to myself. So these are all these little perspective shifts that I'm dropping on you all today when you're out there navigating the world with other people, places, and things that are stressing you out, that are contributing to a lack of sleep, that are contributing to anxiety because of uncertainty. And we're dealing with the reality of our life. Okay. So, what is microdosing? Okay. I think we all know what it is. Just like I know what nature is. I know nature, but I can't really explain nature to you. I know a psychedelic experience, but I can't really explain the psychedelic experience to you. But microdosing is, instead of giving you some definitions that are bland, that are Googled, that are on Wikipedia, I tried to be funny and creative. Instead of diving in headfirst in the deep end, you're just dipping your toes in the water. Microdosing, you're taking a teeny tiny bit, 100 milligrams of psychedelic, in this case, psilocybin mushrooms. 100 milligram is the sub threshold dose, 1/10 of a gram. So just to feel a slight shift, but not enough to lose touch with reality. But losing touch with reality is kind of fun when you go into the macrodose zone, when you just kind of um, merge with the rest of the universe, and you have a complete, not ego death, but ego dissolution. You just kind of merge in. But with microdosing, you're not really losing any of that touch. Things are just a little bit more amplified. And why are folks like you all looking into this? So remember, everybody, these are my 10 questions, but for the curious explorer and yours too, I want to hear your questions too. These are just some of the common ones that I come up with, or actually not I, but a lot of our customers, inquire about. And why are people looking into this? So many are on the hunt for a different way to tackle anxiety and depression. Okay. And there's nothing wrong with anxiety and depression, everybody. I just want to let you know that. I also say that depression is for people who don't know how to be sad, not clinical depression, but depression. We overuse that term. We throw it around, right? Anxiety and depression are like sand in the beach. They kind of go hand in hand, right? We get anxious. We can't sleep. Our minds are going a million miles an hour. We're so much away from the present moment that we dip, and then we're like, oh no, I'm depressed now. It's like, no, you're probably just tired um, and overwhelmed. And we label it as depression. So depression is for people who don't know how to be sad. And what do I mean by that is we just need to learn how to be sad, just like you just told me all about how you are feeling, right? You were all very genuine about how you were feeling. If I just said, how are you feeling today? I guarantee majority of you would just said, good, feeling pretty good, not bad. But look what you got. Well, look what we all did. You really dug deep there. Now add microdosing into your life, and you're going to dig even deeper, and it's going to be a little bit more amplified. Okay. So learn how to be sad when you're sad. Just feel it. Just live with it. It's a temporary state of being. It's not forever. But when we can't be sad, that what happens? It turns into depression, aka suffering. All humans are here to suffer. We're all to get over our suffering by going deep exploring. So, you've probably heard some of these silent whispers of microdosing, giving that spark of creativity, a bit more pep in the step, or even a brighter outlook on a cloudy day. And those are all those byproducts I talk about. Popular choices: LSD, my favorite, magic mushrooms, that's psilocybin. Remember, we're talking about just a smidge, right? A smidge, 100 milligrams, sub threshold dose. Some people go down to 50 or, up to 200. And in our product, we blend it with other adaptogenic mushrooms, 6 of those, and 5 botanicals, 2 essential nutrients. So you get this like super stack that synergized to give you that, orchestra band of, I play guitar. I can play guitar by myself, but when I have a bass player and a drummer and a keyboard is playing next to me, it sounds a hell of a lot better, just like having a stack. Um, it sounds intriguing, but is it safe? Real talk. It's really safe. It's super safe. It's safer than drinking. It's safer than doing other synthetic drugs. It's safer than um, probably smoking, right? And why did I mention all of those things? Because all of those substances are safer than scrolling. Um, so all of those substances, what do? They contribute to a mind shift, right? Um, they provide an altered state of consciousness when used frantically or abused, right? Then that becomes escapism. So they're very safe, but it's not a magic bullet. We talked about it. It's not. That's not what this is. And there are potential side effects and unknowns, about long-term use. Disclaimer: I'm not a doctor, physician, or a therapist, but I can tell you when you're using these substances very intentional and gradually, chances are you're not going to have any long-term side effects, but don't quote me on that. Okay. Before jumping in, it's a good idea to consult with someone like a primary caregiver or a physician who knows their stuff, but still a lot of, science still needs to jump in there. So I'm going to do one more question, and I see some chat here coming up, and I want to answer those. How do I figure out the right dose? So it's like finding the perfect volume for your favorite song. So who listens to music? I love music. Right. And you playing around with the volume, playing around with the equalizer. You need a little more bass, a little more thud, a little more bottom. And maybe you're turning the treble down because the highs are a little too crispy, right? And you're really just tweaking that equalizer. Same thing with microdosing. And generally, we're talking about 1/10 to 1/20th of a normal dose. So I'm going to do some math for you, and I like doing this. So 100 milligram standard dose. Okay. If you did a 90-day journey, okay, times 90 days, okay, and we're doing 1 day on, 1 day off. Let's just say every other day, right? Follow me there? So every other day, that would be like 90 divided by 2. Okay, that's 45 days. Okay, 45 days times 100 milligrams equals what? You guessed it. 4,500 milligrams or 4,500 milligrams. If you know your metric table, 4,500 milligrams divided by 1,000 milligrams, right? There's 1,000 milligrams equals 1 gram, right? So 4,500 milligrams divided by 1,000 is what? 4.5 grams, 4.5 grams. 3 grams to 5 grams. So we're right in the middle there, equals a hero or macrodose. Okay. That math makes sense, everybody? So frequency plus consistency multiplied by intention plus introspection equals transformation. So that mathematical formula that I just did for you all, that's the beauty of microdosing, because you're doing it very gradually. Remember, you're not losing touch with reality. You're just amplifying it, right? You're just kind of like opening up the other side of the veil just enough so you can peek in there. Okay. You're like opening up, like you're just like peeking. You're like, what's around that corner? I'm going to peek in. Okay. And you do that very gradually over 90 days. You're taking a full macrodose, or you can take a full macrodose and prep for a week, You can have post macrodose integration for a couple weeks. And there's no right way or wrong way to do this. There's just a lot of different ways. And if you think about it like that, that's a beautiful way to be able to develop a relationship with these compounds and go at it in a very gradual process. So, I get some questions here at number 5. Link's working. Yeah, long haul COVID. Thanks for that, Michelle. My partner Jessica has Lyme's disease, and uh, we're my partner, mycologist, and I were looking into developing a microdose product to help with Lyme's, with some other botanicals in there. And it's interesting that the CDC makes a big deal about the long haul COVID, but the silent epidemic of Lyme's disease they won't touch. Isn't that interesting? Lyme's disease, the epidemic has been going on for 30 years, but the COVID thing, just a couple years, and it's like, oh no, we need to look at long haul COVID. It's like, what's really going on there? But that's a tangent for a talk for another time. So, love the math, super helpful for the super logical clients. Yes, thank you. So that I love doing that math formula because, it's like in 90 days, you're actually getting a full macro dose. Okay. And just to talk about pricing a little bit, we have the 90-day starter kit with the Mushroom Manifesto. It's a 50-page guide and the micro tracker to track your progress, make your wisdom statement, track your feelings, emotions, all of that. Go back and look at when you started, where you're at, where you need to be. Interesting. Somewhere between right here and now and where we want to be. Okay. And that is a fraction of the price. If you go a very small fraction of a price, I would say like 100th. If you want to go do like a full, guided macrodose experience at a retreat or, travel. So again, this is here to educate you all. And also you can do macrodoses once a season, right? I like to do a full send like once a quarter or once a season. Equinox, solstice are good times. And then microdosing is a great maintenance in between. We also partner with ketamine assisted therapists that put their clients on a 30 to 60 day microdosing program in between their ketamine sessions. So if you're doing like IV ketamine sessions, 5 weeks in a row, once a week, take a break at the 5-week marker, assess where the client's at, and put them on a maintenance microdose program in between the next time that they come back. So that's another way to combine this. So here's at number 5. We're right in the middle here. This sub question. This just came through the other day. And sometimes it makes me laugh, but all in the good ways. It really just tickles me. And I think instead of flagging or letting it just tickle me for my own amusement, this is something that's really, really important to let people know before they embark on this journey. Okay, so the question is, I just took just one, everybody, of the Mind's Eye capsules. Those are a microdose product. And an hour later, I'm feeling a lot of stuff going on. Okay, I've already started kind of laughing to myself in all the good ways, not in a judgmental way. A little anxious. And my tummy is a little off. And a lot of this activation feeling. Whoa, is that pretty normal? And then here's the clincher. I didn't have any of that stuff going this morning on before I took them. Okay. Instead of being judgmental and saying, well, yeah, obviously that's what it does. That's what I want to say. Okay. Um, that's what it does. That's what it's supposed to do. My response is always like in capital letters, yay, it's working. That's what it's supposed to do. Okay. You're now feeling, remember the good thing and the bad thing about microdosing, all your thoughts, feelings, emotions come back. And sometimes people don't have never had any shifts in their consciousness, right? Any altered states of consciousness. And they're so used to feeling a certain way. And a lot of those times that's the feeling that they want to get out of. But to get out of that, they need to go through, right? They need to break through the veil and actually sit and feel this shit. Yes, I just cussed. Fucking feel it, right? Drop in with it. Close your eyes and say, what is that anxiousness in my tummy? Is it fear or is it intuition? It's so easy to mix those two things up. But again, it's a practice. And we're fine tuning our intuition. And pretty soon, our intuition and fear are very, very noticeable. And we can keep them, they're not confused, right? How many people have confused intuition with fear or fear with intuition? I do it all the time. Okay. Fear is just false evidence appearing real. That's the acronym of fear. Intuition, we are all these innate, intuitive generating humans. We just need to polish it up. Okay. And this is one way to polish it up. So I didn't have any of that stuff going on this morning. So my reply was, yeah, you did. Of course you had all that stuff going on. You're just distracting yourself with being a mom, cleaning the house, doing all the things that humans do in their neurosis to distract themselves from what? Feeling the thing. Do it all the time. Sometimes I can be a workaholic. Sometimes I mindlessly scroll because I'm uncomfortable trying to work through a piece of writing or solving a problem. Or I have to get up and run. I have to get up and walk instead of sitting there and doing it in my own head. Okay. So yeah, you did have all that stuff going on and now it's activated and it's amplified. And yes, that's exactly what it's supposed to do. So it's up to you to work through it. Microdosing doesn't have to work. You do. So in the community, in our school community, if you join here, that's free. We usually for all of you here, there's lots of great content in there. There's a classroom in there that I post all these presentations in. There's 36 micro reflections in there, and those are just me riffing on world views and ways of perspective, ways you can view perspective shifts, and start to think in a different way, right? Which is change. Okay, nothing changes if nothing changes. And then this video here, again, you all get this document. Okay, in this video, I actually do a short presentation on this. Someone had a tummy issue. Okay, sometimes people come in and say, Brian, the kids are still triggering me. Or Sean, that's our customer support person. I'm still being triggered by the children. Well, geez, I don't have children, but I damn well know that's their job, right? That's what they're supposed to do. And triggers are really good sources of information. They're like little data points from the cosmic debris that is all about like, what is that? Why am I triggered? I should look at that. I should shine the light of my self-awareness that I have now from microdosing onto that trigger so I can decipher the unhealed parts of myself that is probably not really something I generated. It might have been something that my mom instilled in me and my dad instilled in me and their mom and their dad instilled in them and their mom and their dad instilled in them. And I'm going to stop the buck right here. Okay. And then on page 43 of the Mushroom Manifesto, I'm not sure if we dropped that in there, but the link is right here. And that's essentially body load, all that stuff, like nauseous, maybe some physical stuff. That's the body load that we get. That's moving the dross or the barnacles or the attachments and the resentments and the stuff out of our body. Okay. Like we store all that shit in our bodies. all those traumas, the psychological bedrock, I call it, is like we just compact and compact and compact. And microdosing is just this gentle rake, everybody. It's just raking away at the ego. It's raking away at that stuff, right? So we can plant the spiritual seeds of our future. And um, a lot of people find that uncomfortable because it is. It's uncomfortable, damn well uncomfortable at times. So how often should you be doing this? So we suggest a rhythm of 1 day on, 2 days off. Pretty basic, straightforward. And again, there's no right way, wrong way in doing this, just a lot of different ways. And why do we take days off? Well, the same reason why a marathon runner is not going out and running 26.2 miles every single day, or the bodybuilder isn't going to the gym and throwing up 400-pound bench presses, multiple reps every single day. Those athletes take days off in the week to rest and recuperate what? Their muscles. Yogis do the same thing. What do yogis say? A long muscle is a strong muscle. Okay. Stretch to develop strong muscles. We stretch our neurotransmitters, specifically the serotonin receptors, the 5-HT2A receptor. If you want to look that up, I didn't want to get super sciencey, but we stretch them. What happens if we're just smashing literally onto those serotonin receptors too much? Too much of a good thing is actually a reality. Okay. After we're just like annoying, I call it annoying the serotonin receptor. If I'm annoying my serotonin receptors, you're going to have a dip at some point into this irritable, restless, and discontentment with self and others. So as long as you're taking some days off during the week, that's a good rhythm. Or you can do every other day, like my math formula. Legality, depending on where you hang your hat, some substances might be off limits. A lot of these compounds, psychedelic compounds, are decriminalized. That doesn't mean they are not Schedule I drugs anymore, just like cannabis, everybody. But, cannabis is all around us. And, good old, you can blame this all on President Nixon in 1972 and the war on drugs and all of that fun stuff. So, very gray. We're very gray here. But, always best to know your local laws and just, don't flash it around. The Google Doc, is this the same? Are you sharing the same Google Doc here? Just making sure. Okay, perfect. Side effects. If you like a little pep in your step, if you like not being triggered, if you like self-compassion, feeling a little bit more connected, then, those are all good side effects. But sometimes, we get a little anxious from having an altered state of consciousness. Depending on when you take these substances, it could keep you up at night. I always suggest take it during the day. So you have the whole day to go through this observable reality. And of course, always be mindful and listen to your body. Keep track of how you feel. We have a micro tracker in that starter kit. Told you I have nothing to sell you, but I have things for sale. Can I mix this with other meds or supplements? And I always say, consult. If you are on Xanax or benzos or SSRIs or opiates or MAO inhibitors, all of those things, talk to your therapist, talk to your psychiatrist, talk to your psychologist, whoever your primary care provider is. I guarantee if you're more transparent about this and you're like, hey, I'm thinking about microdosing, they're going to help you. They can't prescribe anything, but they can make suggestions and they can point you in the right direction. And we work with a lot of therapists, Michelle, actually, one of them, who's on this call. If clients are able to find the source that they find trustworthy and reliable, Mind's Eye and Medicine Box, a lot of these therapists will work with their clients, in that type of, clinical setting. So, and is there real science? This is number 10 behind this, or is it all hype? Science is great. I think science is very valid, and we need science, but it's not everything. We put science on a pedestal. And there's a lot of people out there that just are all for science. And I think a lot of science, and this is my own belief and my own value, not my opinion, but science can kind of be wrapped up in that military industrial educational complex at times. And science is usually funded with a lot of money. Okay. Yes, we need science. But microdosing and psychedelics, guess what they do? They challenge the presumptions of science themselves. And that's why a lot of people are that's like, well, show me the science. It's like, well, we can't really explain, science can't really explain consciousness. How do we explain consciousness? Just like, I know nature, I can't explain nature to you. Go out in nature and then tell me about it. You're not going to be able to tell me about nature because you felt it. How's science talk about that? So yeah, there's a little bit of hype, but look and learn and listen for yourself and educate yourself and make your own make your own discernments. That's what I always say. So of course there's hints for potential benefits for mood disorders, but as with any tune, it needs more airtime to see if it's a hit. Of course, we need more science here, but these psychedelic compounds have been around for thousands of years in indigenous communities, right? They've been passed along with storytelling from generation to generation. Bill W., the founder of AA, started the AA program, which I still go to meetings. I went to a meeting on Monday. We talked all about our relationship to our higher power, right? Everyone's perception of their relationship with higher power, whether it's God, a God as you understand God, or the divine, or the way, or the universe, whatever. If you're an atheist, great. Not religion, everybody. Everyone had their own different perspective. It's not like, well, this science article that I read told me all about this. So, yes, we need science. Yes, we need anecdotal evidence. Yes, we need experiential based medicines, and we all need to kind of come together, right? But I do know that anecdotally, I have seen and witnessed in myself and hundreds and thousands and probably hundreds of thousands of others real changes, real shifts, people getting off of opiates, people reconnecting with families, reconnecting with themselves. And how do you explain that other than like, this is actually what really, worked for me? So there's nature in some microdosing. Why do I always say, connecting in the rhythms of nature? We talked about that earlier, is microdosing can really help us get into the rhythms of nature, right? So psilocybin comes from nature. All these like trees in the background, okay, they're all connected by mycelial network. You probably have heard Paul Stamets talk about the mycelial network, the great the wood wide web. That mycelial network is connecting the roots and the shoots underneath the forest, and that's how trees really just all grow pretty uniform, right? They're all talking to each other, and they're all sourcing the same nutrients and organic food sources underneath that forest floor that we walk on. So if we are ingesting these compounds, psilocybin specifically, think of what the biological mechanism of a mushroom is. It's a great decomposer. Okay. Mushrooms grow in mold. What's it doing? How does it grow? It is taking life as it's bringing life, right? The shoots and the fruits that come up from the forest floor or grow in a tree. Okay. That's the fruiting body. Okay. That's like a vacuum. It like pushes itself out from underneath the ground, but it is consuming life. It's decaying the life around it as it's bringing life into our observation, okay, into the observable reality that we can see. Now, if we think about that when it's inside of us, what's it doing? It's opening up our thoughts, perceptions, and emotions to really kind of shine the light on like, damn, I need to like let that go. I need to decompose that. I need to sift through that debris, right? I need to do some allocation of my resources, just like in nature. Look at a pine tree around you. If you have pine trees in where you live, pine trees, coniferous trees, they allocate their resources. Okay, they drop their branches as they grow tall and build their crown so they're closer to the sun. And they're doing that biologically. They just know. It's this intuitive wisdom. And think of all the people that we hold on to, the attachments, the resentments, the failures, all that stuff. All that stuff needs to go. Capital letters needs to go. So that's just a little bit of another, philosophy that science really can explain. That's how I think about it. It's like the stuff inside of me when I'm ingesting these compounds, there's debris in there that I need to decay, right? I need to get it out as I am creating new life for myself. Okay. I don't think a Western medical doctor will tell you that. Why do people even want to microdose? I really don't know why people do, but these are just some of the straightforward ones. Cognitive enhancement, boosting creativity, emotional and psychological wellness, spiritual and personal growth. I think those are all great. This last one here, while not inducing full-blown mystical experiences, microdosing can serve as a tool for introspection, helping other users connect more deeply, helping users to connect more deeply with themselves, others, and the world around them. Especially nature, right? Nature is not judgmental. Nature doesn't judge us, right? It doesn't judge itself. It just is. Okay, and the things that we understand are just as they are, and the things we don't understand are just as they are, just is. So these are some of the other ones. And then finishing off here, everybody, just for fun, okay? Take a deep breath. Thanks for sticking with me. You're all great. Spending your Wednesday afternoon, early evening, talking about this fun stuff. So time is your most valuable asset, and I appreciate you spending a sliver of it with me today. So set and setting, right? Set is what you're bringing to the table, and setting is where the table is, the environment. Like, what are your worldviews, your psychological, emotional, spiritual, and mental belief systems, your values, okay? And then bringing it into the setting. Like, are you outside? You're on a couch with a weighted blanket and a trusted, loyal friend sitting next to you? Or are you in a cluttered home? Are kids screaming around you? Are you with that person that you're just not really want to be around? Set and setting, okay? Or are you here with Brian talking about this with some other really cool people? And even with microdoses, the environment can really influence one's experience. Just like we read up in that, that inquiry was like, I'm feeling this, I'm feeling that, and she's probably at home, and all that stuff that's familiar, is can be psychologically disturbing at times, right? If we're not paying attention to it. So just remember, sense, and you've heard the term, okay? Just remember, it's what you're bringing to the table, and where that table is there. So being in a safe, familiar, and comfortable environment is recommended. And again, all these points that we just talked about, everybody should provide a clear understanding of just the basics, the fundamental aspects of microdosing, focusing on the substances used, dosages, schedule,